The best defensive players in the NBA have much more in common than just incredibly gifted physical abilities. It's their overall IQ, the intimidation factor they provide, that sets these stoppers apart. Tonight I'm ranking the top 10 NBA lockdown defenders in 2018-19.
Dangerous pass picked off by Westbrook.
First, a quick shout out to Lath, who says the time when Kyle Lowry got body checked by Pierce but no call, and DeRozan getting elbowed by Kevin Love and no review. Two instances of reffing disrespect towards Toronto. Question for next vid shout out at the end of this list. Get your name up in Community Speaks by commenting down below. Anytime you're being hounded by Eric Bledsoe, you can't take a second off. Open jumpers off a screen that you think you have aren't open because he'll recover, sneak up behind you with his hops and stuff your shot. You're not blown by him to the rim, and screens being set for you off the ball are also shut down with his passing lane awareness and his ability to avoid screens. All of that has led him to being ranked second highest among guards in defensive rating and 8th in the entire NBA in steals. Marcus Smart's the 9th best lockdown defender in 2018-19. He's second in steals and the leader among point guards in defensive real plus minus. But ever since this man came into the league in 2014, he's been statistically valued as a top 10 defender. On the court, you can tell he's passionate about defense. He somehow shuts down players who have more than 7 inches of height on him. Smart also provides rim protection by just seamlessly springing up around the basket. The hustle on the perimeter, though, is what gives him real value. He's been a massive reason for the Celtics being at the top of the Eastern Conference in the last half-decade. One of the last guards ranked as a top defender in the league is Ben Simmons. The third-seeded Sixers' most valuable defender can do it in every single area using his muscle in the post to stop forwards, his speed to strip players ahead of him on the fast break, and shocking his matchup by blocking their shot has become a regularity this season because with his ball handling ability and overall foot speed, you forget he's 6'10 with a 7-foot wingspan. Most teams don't have stoppers like the first 3 guards I just talked about, but ranked at number 7 is the perfect second line of defense, Andre Drummond. He shuts down the paint for the 7th-seeded Detroit Pistons, and he has amazing timing on his shot blocking. In these clips you'll see here, he blocks the best scorer in basketball 4 times in one game at the rim. Along with Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond is the main reason why the Pistons have turned it around this season and why they're extremely hot of late. Even though Drummond is a shot blocker, he's sneaky quick on the perimeter, far from the liability out there that you expect him to be with his size and dominant post scoring. Maybe the best chase down block artist in the NBA, you know Russell Westbrook also as the slasher and mid-range jump shooter who can get a triple-double on any given night. His defense adds to his resume. He ranks number 1 among point guards in defensive rating, not only because of the highlight blocks, but because of the way he cuts off a player's favorite driving lane to the basket and reads the other team's offense, then completely disrupts the passing lanes. Regardless of his offense taking a drop off this season, we know when this man is engaged, which we'll see in the postseason's biggest moments, that Draymond Green is an elite defensive stopper. He's second in the NBA in defensive real plus minus. There's no forward who's close to guarding the perimeter like he does. And with his height and mass overall, that can be really tough to deal with for an offensive player handling the ball out there. But it's how Draymond Green enhances his team's overall defense, rotating to blown coverages, holding his teammates accountable. The man's the defensive backbone of the 3-time NBA champions. We haven't seen Kawhi Leonard play a long stretch of games so far this season. His rhythm's been interrupted as he continues to get healthy. Still, we've seen flashes of defensive brilliance from Kawhi Leonard, and for Toronto having a defensive player of the year on their team, that makes everyone want to defend like Kawhi. I think Kawhi is the most underrated leader in the NBA. He doesn't need to talk that much because on the court, he's almost always going to shut down elite players when he's at his best. Another Thunder star makes this list. Paul George is ranked number 3. Against this Thunder team, with 2 of the top 3 steals leaders, every pass has to be a bullet, because Westbrook and George, with their long arms and, more importantly, their persistence, are ready to break up everything. These two guys put extreme pressure on ball handlers, but the combination of Paul George's length, energy, and athleticism is the reason I think OKC has the best shot of any team in the West against Golden State. In general, it's not a great matchup for the Dubs. With two of the top perimeter stoppers in the NBA, you have to go up against. It's been a career year for Rudy Gobert, who's putting up 15 points, nearly 13 rebounds, along with just over 2 blocks a game. The shoot-around after he was snubbed from the All-Star game, he was reportedly crying from being left off the team. He had every right to be, because his 32 minutes a game of intimidating rim protection makes Utah a playoff team. Like, who knows what place the Jazz are in without the guy who scares players from putting the ball up and makes game-saving plays like this game-winning block. The honorable mentions are Anthony Davis, who was most considered, but his defensive rating has dropped from 8th last season to 13th this year. Jrue Holiday, whose size still makes him a great point guard defender, but with the Pelicans' struggles, he's dropped to the 48th most defensively valued guard in the league. LeBron James's Lakers give his value defensively similar problems, but he's still a great defender. Also highly considered for the list, Kyle Lowry, who leads the league in charges per game. Quickly, here's some other players who either this year or in the past have been known as lockdown defenders: Marc Gasol, Clint Capella, PJ Tucker, Kevin Durant, Chris Middleton, Robert Covington, Kyle Anderson, Jimmy Butler, Miles Turner, Andre Iguodala, Joel Embiid, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Patrick Beverley. The size, length, and IQ of the Greek defensive freak Giannis Antetokounmpo makes him the best defender in the NBA. The man never gives up on a play and provides help defense in situations where most players wouldn't even think to. The greatest part about Giannis on defense is that you can ask him to guard any player 1 through 5. He's got the foot speed and, most of all, length to do that. In situations where 90% of NBA players would just give up, he gives sensational hustle to block your shot or make it tough on you. He's first in NBA defensive rating, 4th among power forwards in blocks. Giannis's defense alone makes you wonder if any team out east can consistently score enough to beat Milwaukee 4 times out of 7 games in the 2019 playoffs. If you're new and enjoyed, hit subscribe. Today's question is, on this list, who's the most entertaining defender to watch? Thanks to the world for tuning in. This has been D-Flow. See you next video.